don't do something that you don't love. Even though it might be rough and times are tough, dream big and do what you are passionate about. Regardless of all the obstacles that come in your way, just keep on trucking and you'll be doing something that you love all the time, and it's like you'll never work a day in your life.
You're listening to the Talking 20 podcast. This podcast is for you if you're in your 20s and you're thinking, what the hell am I doing? We've all been there and we want to talk about it. We're your hosts, Bridget O'Rourke and Mary Margaret Courtney, and we sit down with fellow millennials to chat about their journey and hear what they've learned along the way. Let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of the Talking 20 podcast. Today we have Kelsey Richard on the show. She is an outgoing go-getter. She started her career off in journalism, working in the music industry, but took the opportunity to pivot into something that she was more passionate about. Something that we're all more passionate about. She has made her way into the world of beer. Woo! As an artist liaison for Collective Arts Brewery in Hamilton, Ontario. We're going to get into whatever the heck that means later. Now, Kelsey is one of those people who's always guaranteed to be the life of the party. I know you know the kind of person I mean. She loves to travel, drink beer, which is super relatable, again. And like the rest of us 20-something-year-olds, she loves a good thrift shop bargain. Mary wrote this, and I'm hoping that it's on point because I love you.
No, this is like, can I get this in writing so I can put this on my LinkedIn, on my, all the things that require a bio? I need
certification.
Way better than
amazing.
Wait, there's more. Kelsey's always pushing herself to do more and challenge herself in different aspects of her life, and today we're going to get into it and get her to tell you about how she does it all. Welcome to the show, Kelsey.
Ooh, thanks for having me. Yeah, that was beautiful. I feel pumped up. I feel ready for the.
Hey, let's go. Let's do this.
I'm a lot more interested.
Do you want to open your beer now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Here.
Okay.
It wasn't a full crack because I kind of already cracked it before, but
because you already,
it's
it's okay.
I don't know if you can hear that, but I'm pouring my beer.
It's like you're peeing. It fully sounds
I promise I'm not peeing.
But trying to be really quiet.
It's like a slow stream into a full stream. It's like very healthy.
Love it. We're
By the
regular
way,
over
this
here.
is an 8.5.
Yes, I knew it was like an 8% beer. I'm drinking a 6.1, so a little bit higher than normal, but you're getting wasted.
Mary's gonna get a little bit weird.
Mary and Kelsey are both drinking a beer from Collective Arts right now because it's very on brand. Unfortunately, I didn't get the memo and didn't get one, so I'm drinking lemon water.
Wow, I should have sent care packages. I'm really upset about this, but maybe next time.
I mean, if you send care packages for like the release of your episode, because this isn't coming out for like a month, we won't be mad about it.
We won't be mad.
Also, my boyfriend is right beside, and he is just finished his Perdome beer sommelier, and like absolutely loves Collective Arts, and so he just got stoked about the idea of that. So
that's dope. Yes, don't worry, a
He's
care package
excited.
is on the way.
Ooh, it's already in the mail. It's on the way.
Excited. So excited.
I'll have my
All right,
people
so
call
how
your
do you
people.
guys know each other?
Yeah, Kelsey and I met at Coca, which by now, if you have been listening to our podcast, most of the people Mary know are from that conference, Canadian Organization of Campus Activities. If you want to learn more, go back and listen to almost any other podcast we've done so far. Yeah, that's like my entire social, my whole network basically comes from that world. Yeah.
So would I have met Kelsey?
I don't believe so. I think Kelsey. Oh, I'm gonna try and
probably like
guess.
oh gosh, London was my first one, but I don't know what year that was.
Oh,
Yeah, I was in London. 2017?
yeah, but 2017.
So
That makes sense.
That's
Yeah,
when I
2017
was there.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
sweet.
Well, we've met.
Then let's
we
say
couldn't
yes.
even know it.
You were there. Bridget was working in the office
Once
that year.
again,
Oh, it was my
once
first year,
again,
though, so I feel like I didn't
we
know
probably
many
did
people.
shots together.
Ooh, we probably did do
Just
shots.
fell
together.
over.
We probably did shots together. Bridget's already
I
drunk.
said that to the guest in our last episode as well, because she was also at Coca, and we also didn't know that we met, but I was like, Probably
We
good
probably drank
shots.
together.
I love
yeah.
that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and especially if it was your first year, Kelsey, you'd be like getting your feet wet and like getting to know people and
Oh,
yeah.
totally. My second year, I feel like I met a ton of people, but I didn't know anybody's names. And so, yeah.
That's my life. Like every year I'm like, I know people's faces and I just wait for them to come to the office and then I hear them say their name and I'm like, okay, don't forget that for 7 days. And then after the 7 days, it's gone again.
There's name tags half the time anyways. You're good. People wear them like the first day at least and, just get warmed up.
Yeah. Well, and like you're always in the same room as people, so you can at least just go like, hey, and then it seems normal. But I'm like, I don't remember your name. There's 100 and some odd people in this room. I don't know.
Or just call them by their school. That works too.
Yeah. Yeah. All
right. So,
sorry.
So should we get started in the careers?
Yes.
In
let's
the careers
get
section.
Started. Go for it, Bridge.
Okay, so let's start from high school, Kelsey. You're in grade 11, you're in grade 12, whenever you're deciding what your next, move is. What are you thinking at this point?
I knew from the ripe age of however old you are in grade 4, what I wanted.
Like 7?
Like, I don't know. No, I feel like, I guess maybe 8 or so.
No, probably older,
Yeah.
like 10 maybe.
Oh,
I don't know,
I don't
something
know,
like that.
whatever.
Anyway.
4th
9.
grade.
You're 9.
9? All right.
9.
9. No, I always knew what I wanted to do. I would watch the news before dinner with my family. And I wanted to be that girl that told everybody what was going on in the world. It wasn't like I wanted to be on TV and be a movie star or whatever. I just wanted to like be in the know of what was going on and be able to like share that to with people. And
So
yeah, go ahead.
did you used to watch the news like a lot? I feel like that's really heavy for a 9-year-old.
It was always on when my mom was like cooking dinner and stuff. It was always on in the background. Not that we like sat in front of the TV and like had popcorn and were like watching the news as our entertainment, right? But it just kind of always was on in my household, and that's kind of how I got into it. And the more I thought about it too, is like there was a lot of inspiration from like TV shows. Like my favorite show growing up was Full House, and Danny Tanner was a reporter. I loved Gilmore Girls. Like Rory she wanted to be a journalist. It kind of all came together, and I think those were like where my influences came from, and why I wanted to do what I wanted to do. So, did it, which is crazy. But I don't know if I want to. Do I want to get into that now? Should we go throughout my years?
We'll go there. We'll totally go there. I mean,
there.
like,
Yeah.
it sounds pretty easy peasy for you. We talk a lot with people about how at that age range, it's like, how the hell are you supposed to make that decision at that age? You and I have similar story in the sense where it was like, it was never an option. I was just going to school for musical theater because that was the thing I always did. Worrying about a career or my life down the road or the type of adult I'm going to be and the type of lifestyle never mattered.
Yep.
I was going to school for that thing and that was it. And then, it takes you on the lovely journey it does. But kind of a nice relief for you because you didn't have to go through that
Totally.
Like it doesn't sound like you have any resentment for that or any regret for going to do the thing you've always wanted to do.
No.
You had to do it.
And I remember like being in grade 9, we had like a careers class in grade 9, which is so crazy to think that like it started that early. Like you get into high school and you need to know what you want to do and who you want to be and all that. And I remember everybody sitting in our computers and people were trying to figure out what they wanted to do. And I knew what I wanted to do. And then I talked to like a high school guidance counselor about what I wanted to do. And I went to an all French school, Catholic school, where I had a nun as a principal. And it was very educational. Like my education was educational. But no, we like wanted to push you into like math and science and to be a teacher and a lawyer. And I actually had my high school guidance counselor tell me like, you don't want to be a journalist. You are going to get paid absolutely no money. You are going to be working these long hours. You're going to hate your life, and tried to push me in a different direction. And I stood my ground and I was like, I don't care about money.
Good for you.
Like I want to do what I want to do, and I've wanted to do this my entire life. So why would it be like, why would I just change all of a sudden just because of money?
I also have a question. No offense to people who are guidance counselors, but how much money are you actually making as a guidance
Right? As a guidance
counselor? You have
counselor?
the right to say that to anybody.
You know what? She knows, though. She's like, that paycheck is probably in line with mine. So I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's true. Just like, don't do it. Don't do it. Trust me.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
So,
it's so
where
sad
did
that
you
they
go
do
to-
that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Bridge.
No, go ahead.
No, I just think
Go
it's sad that
Yeah.
guidance counselors do that. I think they need to take more ownership for how much power they have over young minds. And like, I feel bad for the kids that walk in with those dreams and then are told to go a different direction, and then they do because they think that's the adults telling me that's the decision. So go that way. 9 times out of 10, that's not going to work. They're not going to actually follow through on being like a mathematician.
Well, the thing is, they waste money, right? Like, I know people who are pushed
Yeah.
into going into university. Like, they told me, like, go university route. And I was so set on college. And, you have those people who don't know what they want to do, but their parents or their teachers or whatever push them into going to university and taking English or whatever, which there's nothing wrong with that. But, like, when you don't know what you want to do and you're just wasting thousands upon thousands of dollars, and not everybody has the luxury of having parents who help them out financially, right? So it's just, you end up in debt and getting this education that you don't technically maybe need down the road.
And getting a job that doesn't relate to the debt that you acquired.
Yeah.
Yeah, which like great.
an
Yeah, you can
endless
go to school
cycle.
and learn English, but is it actually getting you the job? Maybe not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good for you.
So where
Good
did
for
you go
following.
to school? Like university, post-secondary?
Yeah,
then?
so I went to Canadore College in North Bay. Shout out Panthers. I was the Zumba instructor for our athletics, so I feel like I was kind of an athlete. No, I'm kidding.
You were like the cheerleader athlete. Yeah.
And I was dating like the instructor of the martial arts
Oh,
team.
totally. We had the guys volleyball team. Like the coach thought it was so funny. He was like, you can either do Zumba class with Kelsey on the other side of the gym, or you can do your normal workout and do your get ready for your game or whatever. Like do cardio and like play around with the ball, or go to Kelsey's Zumba class. And like I had so many like men in my Zumba class, and it was a freaking blast.
That's
I
amazing.
love that.
That's so much fun.
Yeah,
so
I would choose
I feel like
Zumba.
Zumba is like a fairly new thing that people do. Were you just like ahead of the trend on that?
I definitely was. My cat is
Because that's like what, like 2010?
oh my gosh, I've had my certification
earlier.
since my first year of college, which was 2010. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was
No, you
right
disagree,
into-
Bridge?
Yeah, that's... No, I was going to say I disagree, but that's because in my head, like, we were all in university 2 years ago. And then I was like, oh my God, wait, 2010, yeah, okay.
11 years ago.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Woo. That's awesome. That's fantastic. So what, you got into college, you're on your journey to, do your dream job. You obviously get very integrated into the campus life, being the Zumba instructor, getting all the boys to work those hips. Tell us a bit more about what your college life was like.
Yeah. I feel like I have to preface the fact that I went to French school my entire life. Like the only English class was English class. Like I learned everything in French my entire life. French was my first language. Didn't speak a word of English till I was 5, and then decided to go to school for journalism and English, which was stupid. My first semester.
I thought I was ambitious.
Oh God.
Yeah.
My first semester, I was failing my editing and grammar classes because I legitimately did not know the difference between there, and there. Because they don't teach you that in French English class.
Yeah,
you read a book together in class and you do a book report. It's such a weird, I didn't learn proper English, and then I went to school for journalism, and I had an amazing teacher who stayed back after class and helped me out and stuff, and I passed, and I graduated with honors, and it was amazing, the journey that I went through, but it was tough. It was really, the first year was super, super hard for me. For sure, just getting by.
Yeah, so Like, how did you get through? So this teacher stayed back after class and, like, helped you through it. Was there anything else that you did? Like, I'm just thinking of you barely speaking English and writing all this stuff. Like, I feel like there had to be more ways that you went to, you know, figure out English.
Yeah, it was more
like more things that you did.
I was just super passionate about it, and like I spoke English very, very, very well. It was just like the writing component that like I didn't I didn't know how to properly like do that, because we didn't even get graded. I remember like doing book reports, and like we didn't even get graded half the time on like the actual like spelling and grammar and stuff of different things. So that part was really hard for me, but like performing and like doing stand-ups in front of a camera and stuff like that didn't bother me at all. So
okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, I kind of just got through, and like I went into like the TV stream first, and then I went into radio, which is all talking. I hated the newspaper element of the writing, the print, all that kind of stuff. It was not for me. So I kind of just like went towards something that I was good at.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Cool.
So then what point you pivot and decide to not do that anymore? Did you graduate? Did you finish your program? Or was it partly through your program that you were like, get me out of here?
No, I finished it. I did 3 years, graduated with honors. And like we started with like 40 some students and ended with like 15, because we were the last graduating class of journalism at Canadore College. So tons of people jumped ship. It was crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
It was nuts.
Why though? Yeah.
They thought that we weren't going to get as good an education because they like laid off some teachers and all this kind of stuff. And so I just stuck through it. I'm like, I'm already like 1 foot in, like, and I like what I'm doing. I love my program. I love my classmates. So I stayed in it. But after I graduated, I actually got a job right away, which is amazing. I did a 4-month paternity leave at Eastlink TV News in Sudbury.
Wow.
Yeah. I got to cover some riveting stuff like 100th birthday parties and...
Oh my God, what movie is that? Bruce Almighty, where at the end he's like covering the birthday with the big giant cookie.
Yeah,
that was you.
That was me. I got in a bee suit one time, like Science North, which is like the science center in Sudbury, was doing like a bee exhibit, and I like got in a full bee suit and like did a stand up in my bee suit. Yeah, it was no, not like a bee mascot suit, but like a bee, like to keep you safe from the bees.
I thought you meant a bee suit.
When I was at Seneca, I got into the Stinger bee outfit and was a mascot.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, not only were we both mascots, but we were both of the bee species.
No, definitely never been in a mascot costume. Maybe one day. But yeah, like
Bridget, were you thinking the same thing?
Oh yeah, I was. Okay. I was like, this is gonna make a great social media post. That's what I was thinking.
Amazing. Somewhere in the world of YouTube, there is that news story that lives. So if you want to go look for it, I'm not gonna send you a link or anything, but there are some news stories on YouTube that you could probably find of me in a bee suit.
Okay.
Perfect.
So were you loving
picture
it?
Of that, put it beside Mary in her
actual
suit.
Stinger.
Bam.
So good.
Perfect
Love
picture.
Love
what
that.
you do for the job, eh? What you do for the job.
Yeah. I
love it.
I didn't like it at all. So I did my placement at CTV in Sudbury as well before I got into the actual career. And I'll be completely honest with you, TV is freaking ruthless. The best reporter gets the best story. Right? So everybody's fighting to be on top and to get that story and to report that amazing news. The older reporters wouldn't even chat with me. Like literally wouldn't say hello in the morning because they were like, oh, young blood's coming in. They're going to take my job. I won't even talk to you.
What?
Yeah, it was. And then you'd like write this story and then you'd bring it back to like your editor or your news reporter or whatever, your boss of whatever sorts. And then they would like rewrite your story. And then you'd have to do a stand up in front of the camera And it wasn't even your own words that you were using because it was so perfected by like your boss. And obviously I was young and like wasn't the best at it. I'm sure some of the older reporters like could write their own shit, but I didn't have the full opportunity to like, this is exactly me start to finish. And so I just kind of felt like I was like, I don't know, living a lie. Like you had to look a certain way. You had to speak a certain way. Like the reporters that are on TV, like they get told what color their hair should be and like what color they look best in and just like silly things like that. Like, and I don't like that.
It's very sounds very like superficial almost, where you need to fit this mold that they're putting you in.
Well, yeah, and especially when you come out of college, if it was a good experience for you, you're feeling yourself, you feel great about life, you feel great about the person that you are. If that's the stage of life you're in, you go into a job where they're like, we're never going to give you compliments on where you're at. We're never going to make you feel like you are achieving anything or you're going to do well in this industry because you're quote unquote a threat. And we're going to keep editing and changing everything, which, yeah, maybe someone who's still in the industry could speak to like why it's like that and what it does for, you know, grooming people. But I do think it's something about like a millennial generation, the amount of people that walked into the same setting as you, but maybe were older and they were like, this is the reality. This is just what you do. I love my job and this is my job. But there's like an interesting seed in there where I'm like, oh, look at that. A millennial walked into like this traditional set and was like, fuck this, I'm out. No, you won't tell me what to do. I'm not going to try and change your industry. So I'm going to go do something else because I need happiness in my life as well.
Yeah. No, it's totally, you hit the nail on the head for sure.
Yeah, that's
and
amazing.
I'm happy that I'm part of that generation that like doesn't want to conform to the norm and stuff. I think that's pretty awesome too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and it's such a good example of like when people say that millennials are lazy, it just fires me up so much because I don't believe that at all. Okay. I believe there's a lot of circumstances, but we're
ambitious.
We're smart too, though. Like we're being lazy when we don't like I don't have to be on 24/7.
Smart, not hard.
Like exactly.
Yeah, lazy, smart, not hard.
Totally.
Lazy, smart, not hard.
That's the new saying right there.
Yeah,
but it is about like preserving yourself as a person and longevity. And so if you are attached to yourself emotionally and you care about your well-being and you care about your relationships in your life, as young as you are at the time, it might just be like an instinct in your body, which is how I feel with me when I changed careers. Was I didn't know, like I have hindsight now of why I did it. But back then I was like, no, I just can't do this. And now I'm like, yeah, there was like an instinct in my body to just do something else. I'm not happy here. I'm not accepting this. I need happiness. I need fulfillment. And that may look like I'm not pushing through the hard shit or I'm being lazy, but it's not. And anyone who knows me, knows you, certainly would say like, we're not lazy people, but we're not going to, you know, you're not going to just stand by and like try and hit that point of being the best reporter and all of a sudden be in your 40s and be like, I'm miserable. Maybe you're divorced. Maybe you've, you know, had crazy life things that you regret versus now there's like, it doesn't sound like you have any regret for any of this.
No. And I would never, ever like, I mean, we'll go kind of more into my other careers, but like, I will never stay somewhere I'm not happy. I will never work in a job that I'm not passionate about it. I've kind of, and this is just kind of like worked out the way it is, but I've kind of stayed in jobs for like 3.5 years. And so at that like 3-year mark, I've assessed, do I like this? Do I not? Like, where do I want to be? What do I want to be doing? And I think that like a lot of like our parents and stuff, like they stayed in a job for like 50 years and retired, which is great. That's awesome. The pension's probably amazing, all that stuff. But like for me, like when I'm bored and I'm not passionate about what I'm doing, like I'm out. Like I'm done.
I find that like, if I'm not passionate about what I'm doing, I'm not good at it.
No, exactly.
Like, you don't want me there if I don't want to be there.
You're not going to be at your best, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the days you're like, I'm leaving this, I'm not going to stay in this job anymore. Is that the last job you do in that industry?
No, I ended up, I had a short stint in marketing, but I don't even want to like talk about that because it like was like 3 months and it was what it was. But I got into, I got into radio after that. And
Nice.
if it weren't for the crazy layoffs that radio has and the pay, which is horrible, I would probably still be in radio.
Crazy.
Really? So you liked it. You liked I found, like, when I was in radio, I didn't like the hours that it was because it's just, like, what show did you have? Like, what was your time slot?
Yeah, so I started a job in promotions. And then I started running my own street team and kind of like making a name for myself out in the community and whatnot. And then I got the opportunity to be welcomed to the morning show. So we had 2 male announcers who, like, so if you know, like a KISS station, so like, you know, top 40s, our demographic was like 18 to 35 women. And you had 2 men that were like in their like late 30s, 40s who were on the morning show, and they were phenomenal. They had personalities that were like so contrasting. Like one was like this big sarcastic, but also like lovable teddy bear, tell it like it is, whatever. And then we had this.
Are we talking about Roz and Mocha here?
No, we're not. We're not.
Okay. I was like,
they kind of always do that though, because the thing is they can't always agree. They have to argue, right? Like that they have to bring everybody's point of views up. And so the other guy was like a father and like a germaphobe and like, you know, was very stickler in his ways. And they wanted a female, preferably a young female, to come onto the show and ask those questions that everybody wants to ask but are too afraid to ask.
ooh, fun.
That's
Yeah. So with radio, I got to create with like TV, it was like you need to fit in this box. Whereas radio, I got to like cultivate like a character and a personality, and I got to kind of like play something different, and I got coached, and it was super, super duper fun. And it wasn't like, they were never like, whoa, don't ask that. Like it was always a platform where I could like be myself, and it was so much fun. I loved it. I loved the guys that I was on the show with. And then from there, I went on to be like the fill-in person. So like if they need somebody in afternoons or whatever, like I was kind of just filling in, also doing the promotion stuff, and so on and so on and so on, and was making no money. So I was doing all these things and making no money. And it came to the point where I was like, I have bills to pay. And like, I love my job. I love my job so much, but I can't. And there was no way for me to get a raise at this point. It just, I needed to move on. So,
which is sad because you're like living the dream, but like I have rent.
How do you make that decision though? Like, did you rely on other people to be like I'm sure you had to talk to people a lot to ask their opinions, and I don't know, how did you come to that decision to move on from something that you love so much?
Yeah, excuse me, sorry. I knew my worth.
You looked at your bills.
Right? I looked at my bills and I knew I couldn't afford rent. So I needed to do something. No, I like to say that like I knew my worth. I was working 3 jobs. Like I was on top of radio, I was serving, and I also was like an in-arena host for an OHL team. So I was like the girl in the Jumbotron, like doing giveaways and interviews and all the things. And I loved that job too. But I was working 3 jobs and I had no social life. And I needed that.
Yeah.
And I need to separate my social life with my work life, because my work life was so social, but it was on a different like scale.
Yeah, you're turned on. You're not yourself. You don't get to just like, there's responsibility still being held there, right? And it gives a sense of freedom in the sense that like your life is scheduled out enough that you don't need to worry about your Friday night plans, which personally I love that. But at the same time, like your brain is always on. You're not going to stop working. And the hardest part is when you're slowly starting to burn out and you're still not paying your bills.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable.
I had an ex that like would not go to like the grocery store or the mall with me because he was like, the 30-minute trips take 2 hours because everybody fucking stops you and talks to you, and like I have to be on, like I can't like go with my hair all like up in a bun and sweatpants and whatever. Like I always had to, I was a public figure and I had to be that person. And I love it, and I would go back to it in a second if I got paid more money. But I actually stayed in that career a little bit longer. I was living in North Bay, and I moved my entire life to Kitchener for a job in radio, but I was just doing promotions and getting paid 10 grand more because it was down south.
Oh, wow.
So, but I hated not being on air. It killed me.
So hold on, how old are you at this point? Like when you make that journey?
I was gonna ask the same thing.
2015, I think. So
2015. So you are.
I'm 29 right now.
You're 29.
Do the math. I'm not good at that.
So you're like 23, 24?
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah. Fast math.
Mm-hmm.
Good job.
I'm leaving it up to you guys.
23, 24. No, but I'm just thinking about like your colleagues and your friends and where they're at. You know, there's always that comparison of you come out of school and, you know, did you go to school for the right thing? Did you not? Depending on your friend group and your family, people are looking at you at that point to be like, did you make the right decisions?
Yeah.
Are you doing well? Oh, 23, like, so you should have a job you've been in for a while and potentially getting a promotion soon. So when you start to make those changes, sometimes it comes along with that insecurity of like, am I making mistakes? Am I just not finding my way? Will I ever find my way? Oh God, my life is hard. Welcome to being 20.
You're right.
But that change, like the money is awesome to just like skyrocket up by 10 grand more within the same industry. But that's a huge adjustment. That's like what, 3-4 hours of a drive.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, definitely 4.5, 5, depending on like my entire family is in Sudbury. Nobody, including like my aunts, uncles, cousins, my sisters, literally nobody left Sudbury. I am the only person in my entire family that has left. And so even that was like a big thing, like, oh, Kelsey's leaving. Like my family was so tight knit and it was a shock for me, but it wasn't a shock because everybody knew that it was going to happen. Like I was never happy in a small town in a sense. I loved North Bay, hated Sudbury where I grew up. But North Bay is where I found myself. So it was a little bit different. And my family, like my parents weren't around to like, you know, parent me. So, yeah, it wasn't a tough decision for me at all. I was ready for it.
So once you were in Kitchener, was there a transition period that was tough?
My best friend came with me. So a month after I moved to Kitchener, my best friend got a job at a boutique hotel in Kitchener and moved in with me. So I had my...
Was this planned or coincidence?
Planned, kind of. So the day I got the interview for the job in Kitchener, she came over with a bottle of wine and... we got wasted and I had some bottles too. Not just the one bottle.
I was gonna say off of one bottle.
Yeah, no, wow. I'm not that much of a lightweight.
Cheap date.
Yeah,
but
I wish.
She told me that like I have the best friend in the world. She told me that I was going to get the job because I got an interview and that she was moving to Kitchener with me.
Aww.
Yeah, so I was very, very lucky.
My best friends would be like, bye.
I'm just picturing this situation of you guys like sitting on the couch crying because you're about to move to Kitchener. Just like, you're gonna do it. You're gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be all
We're ugly
roses
crying.
and
Like,
I'm gonna
you're
come
so
with
gorgeous.
you. We're gonna buy a house.
So I think that transition wasn't difficult for me because I had my best friend. But like I told you, radio's a little cutthroat. So I worked there for 6 months and got laid off.
Oh no. After you uprooted your whole life.
Yeah.
Guys, I can't afford this.
Oh,
Yeah.
brutal.
Okay, let's talk about getting laid off.
Right?
Because Bridget and I
yeah.
have also been laid off, and man, we like this topic.
It makes us stronger, though.
Yeah.
I feel like all millennials have been
100%.
laid off, and we know what it's like. And you have to deal with it. It's not fun at first. The first few weeks fucking suck, but we always overcome it.
Exactly. It's
strong
kind of like the
people.
way you think about a breakup now, where you're like, okay, I'm about to go into a really shitty period, but it's gonna get better. And this will make me stronger.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's this weird, like, you hate the person across the table from you, and then you have to get over that because it's just their job, and you attach your personality to your stupid job, and then you're like, I can't attach my personality to my stupid job, which makes you better in the next job. I literally could talk about this forever, but I want to talk about you. So the day you walk in and you're getting laid off, how does that go down? Are you expecting it at all? Did they throw you a curveball?
Absolutely not. I had no idea. So it was, they kind of like cleared out the department in a sense. So I had a promotions director who did not have a background in radio, came in because he knew people in the community. He was very well known in the community, and tried to like do all these things that didn't work. And he didn't, like, he's used to having all this money, and radio, you have zero money. And he just like really royally fucked up the department. And they let go of him and they kept me on. And then I don't know how long it was, like not even a month later, they were like, yep, we're getting rid of promotions. But then they brought somebody in because so I was working for Virgin Radio, and they are also affiliate with like CTV. So somebody from CTV came in and like was working their job, but also my job. So they just like eliminated it completely. Yeah, it sucked because I feel like having him in that role as like, not even a mentor, because like, to be completely honest, like I'm not trying to be full of myself, but I could have done his job.
First of all, you're not full of yourself. You just have confidence, and there's nothing wrong with that. Oh, bye.
She's gone. Mary has been having a lot of trouble with technology these past 2 days.
I'm being haunted for sure. Matt and I are
Kelsey
being
just
haunted.
disappeared from our. This
Kelsey.
has never happened before.
Where are
Does she
you,
know how to get back on?
Kelsey? I'm not looking.
There she is.
Technology. I'm so sorry.
No, I know. I think it was Mary's fault for sure.
No, that's okay. We've never had that. Oh, yeah. My household has been having a lot of technical issues the past few days, and I think we're being haunted. So I'm just going to say that whoever's haunting me went into your computer.
If you can take your ghost back, that would be great. I'm good. Like, I'm totally good.
What happened?
I don't know. I had this weird pop-up that said, like, leave
You're
Chrome,
good. Okay.
and I clicked no, and then everything went away. But, you know.
And then I left Chrome.
Oh. It was like, we're going to close down shop anyway. So
yeah, it's fine. We're not going to listen to you.
all good.
It's good.
That's okay. But I'll pick up where we left off. What you said was not fully yourself. It's confidence. And I think you need to own that. That's okay. I think people need to, if you think you can do that job, take that and run with that. So you see they're making changes within this. So the reason for letting you go is because your job is no longer needed. Like they dissolved the position overall.
Basically, that's what they told me. It wasn't performance driven, whatever. But like I knew the department wasn't doing well, and then I didn't have like a person who's leading it. So I couldn't make decisions. I couldn't step into that role. Like I talked, like had conversations about like, okay, well, what happens now that he's gone? And it's like, oh, we're going to replace him. But that never happened, and they just got rid of me. So that was shitty.
Devastating, yeah. So what do you do after that?
But everything happens for a reason.
Yes. And what was the reason that you now know?
So I made a lot of connections within the community. And one person who was phenomenal to me was a gentleman named Paul Maxwell. So he owns Maxwell's Concert Events. So it's basically a concert and events hall. And we used to do a lot of concerts with him. So like Virgin Radio features this artist that we play like on our station. And so we became pals. And when I got laid off, I cried for 2 hours straight. And then texted Paul, because Paul knows a lot of people in the community, and he knew what my passions were, and he had conversations, and he hired me on the spot as a bartender.
Great.
And I mean, it's a concert venue. Like we made some amazing tips, and it wasn't like my full-time job because we didn't have concerts every single night or whatever, but it definitely got me by for a bit. And on my birthday, I worked the night of my birthday. He had no idea it was my birthday. And I had mentioned something about like, you got to be nice to me. It's my birthday. And he's like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, why didn't you tell me? And I'm like, well, I'm not going to like, hi guys, it's my birthday. Like, celebrate me.
Yeah.
Like, it's not.
Treat me differently today, Kay.
Yeah.
I'm a queen.
Yeah. So he's like, well, I'm going to take you out for drinks after the shift if you're free. And I'm like, yeah, for sure. So we went to a pub. We had a couple beers. And he was like, you've been working with me for however many months. I think it was like 3 months or something. And he's like, have you found anything? What are your passions? Whatever. And I kind of told him about my background and my schooling and all the things. And he said, my friend at Laurier University is hiring a programming and promotions manager. And I looked at he literally texted his friend and was like, send me the job posting. I looked at the job posting at this bar and was like, I'm not qualified for this. Like, I have no like events, like, I mean, other than running a street team at events and stuff like that, I don't really have an events background. And he's like, no, you could do this job. And I was like, oh, well, I'm going to apply because I don't have a job right now. So what do I got to lose? And I ended up getting it. And
Wow.
That's how I met Mary.
This is a crazy crossroads because the person who did your role before you, Deb Lamb, her and I were up for that job. And it was between her and I.
No way.
And you got it? Oh my gosh.
No. Deb got the job.
She got it, and then I got in after
and then
her.
Deb left.
Oh.
And Kelsey got the job.
Kelsey, I thought you just swooped in and took it from them. I was
Absolutely
like,
not.
shit's about to
Mary
get
was
real.
way more qualified for that job.
I also felt underqualified for that job, but the person that was hiring is like still a good friend and mentor to me to this day, and I just wanted it so badly, so I applied. But Deb had more experience and had gone to Laurier before, which having alumni, those are student-based roles. They come because of the students. We talk about that all before. We've talked about it on the podcast, so like I won't get into it, but I believe fundamentally that's the right thing to do is give the people who go to that campus, who are students on that campus, those jobs. And she was amazing. I love that girl. She's fantastic.
Oh, yeah. She's phenomenal.
Yeah. So then when you came in, I was like, oh, that girl got my job. It's never been my job, but in my head, it was my job.
That's so funny. And what's funny is you had mentioned the whole, like, they try to give alumni those jobs and whatever. And the one thing I had, like, for me was the fact that I didn't go to Laurier. And my boss was like, I literally wanted somebody who like wasn't part of the Laurier bubble and didn't know everything that we've done in the past and whatever. He's like, I wanted you to come in and shake things up. And I was like, sweet.
Nice.
And so coming from a radio background where you have zero money to do all the things you want to do, I think that was another one of my strengths I had a freaking budget. I had like thousands of dollars. I'm not going to go into detail, but, and like, I did a lot with I did a lot with the big amount that I was given, but even more than somebody would do when they're used to having the money. Like I was able to stretch it and bring in all these acts and do all these things because I was used to saving money and bargaining and all those things. So I think that was, that worked in my favor. Also like the promotions background and stuff and promoting events and all kind of like came together. So even though I wasn't an event planner, I had all these other things that were for me and they took a chance on me and it worked out.
It's amazing. So how many years were you in that role?
3.5. That's my that's my threshold.
Man, you've been through so much. Like so many job changes. And it's just like it just goes to show like millennials, that's what it's like now is we don't stay in the same job,
which I love so much. I love that so much. Like you don't need to stay in the same job to like prove you're qualified. Like if someone looked at your resume in terms of skills, your experience and your skills are vast. They're huge. There's so many that you don't get to be pigeonholed. They can't pigeonhole you. Versus people that, and there's nothing wrong with this either, but you go to school and then you go to job in that career and you stay within that career and you work your way up. It's also very impressive to me because I could never I have a threshold. I need to keep things spicy.
You need to keep challenging yourself and like
keep challenging yourself and pushing yourself and like learning new industries and new jobs, I think is just so good for you. And there are always, you know, relative skills that you can transfer into a new industry. So you're now at Laurier and you're doing this like campus life. What's your personal life like at this point? Because you were working a million jobs back in North Bay and had no life. And now you've built this life in Kitchener. You're doing this impressive step up. What's your personal life looking like?
I mean, I was still working 2 jobs. I stayed at Maxwell's. I'm still at Maxwell's. My last shift was like February 2020. So I can't wait to go back once live music inside is a thing. But I had met a lot of people. I was really good friends with a lot of people that I worked in radio and kind of like built my friendships on that. I don't usually turn down like an event or a gathering at all. So I think that I had enough time for friends and for work, and it was a really, really good balance. And I loved what I did. And yeah, it was the best job I had, and I loved it.
That's amazing.
That must have been such a nice change from, you know, working 3 jobs earlier, not having any social life. Like, that must have felt really good.
Oh, totally.
So at this point, you're still in Kitchener.
Technically, right now I'm in Cambridge, but
But you're still in the area.
it's a little city over,
you didn't,
still in the area.
You didn't go back to
No,
Sudbury
Northern Ontario
or
at all.
Bay.
No, and I won't. Like, I will never, ever. Maybe when I retire, maybe. I don't know. I'm like I'm one of those people, like, I'm ready to go to, like, France when I retire. Like, that's my thing.
Yes.
But
yeah, keep exploring.
I love that. Okay, so you're currently working at Maxwell's. You left this job with Laurier, right? What came next?
Yeah, so the world shut down, pandemic stuff happened, and I hated virtual events. And like, I don't use hate lightly. Like, I like despised being at home, being on my computer, doing all these like techie things, and like not be able to see people enjoy the events and like work with the students and all this stuff. And I felt like, because like TikTok was becoming like super duper popular and all these things, I felt like I was like slowly losing touch with students. Like, I had no idea what they wanted. I had no, like, I wasn't a TikTok person. I still like, I haven't been on TikTok in like 5 months. Like, it's not my thing. I like Instagram, love Instagram, but TikTok's not my thing. So I just didn't get it, and I didn't feel connected with the students. And so at that point I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
So
but hold on, because also you were going to be the chair of the COCA conference that year of 2020, which is also, for anyone who doesn't know, a lot of people who step into that role, it's very new. It is a part of the conference that's a great learning experience and kind of career builder for you, and is a really big event to take on. It's a big organization. So the world shuts down and you guys have students still, but you're obviously looking at enrollment for the next year. You were a part of this whole Doug Ford thing where Doug Ford took all of the money out of student funding.
Seems like so long ago.
I know, like it was the last COCA. That was like, we had like an emergency. It was like a general meeting that doesn't happen often, but it was like, let's get everybody in Ontario that has a school in a room and talk about this, because it is like, it could be the life or death of student unions, and you guys are the people in the jobs that are going to keep that going. You are student life. You're in touch with those humans. Those relationships are super important. So you're already dealing with that, and then the pandemic hits. What is that experience like? Like, are students engaged on these virtual events? As much as you hated it, you still did them. You still helped execute a virtual COCA. You still helped execute virtual events with Laurier. You guys pivoted hard. So whether it was successful or not, like, was it attended well? Was it received well?
I still had a lot of like passion and drive for my job, and I felt like I'm sitting at home, and I felt like I kind of worked even harder in a sense because I had more time on my hands. And like, even though I actually didn't get to execute my virtual a week fully. We had a stacked week. Like, I mean, I hosted 2 virtual concerts that were Canada-wide. It was like the chair of those concert committees. And so I felt like I just kept on like push. I'm like, I keep on getting pushed down, but I'm like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make the best of the situation that we have. And from my understanding, like we had a pretty decent turnout compared to like other schools and stuff like that. So you guys are frozen. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
We're good.
We're frozen.
Yeah. So,
Great.
Or are we just
no,
you're
you're
just
good.
actively listening. That's good. So, okay. So then, how long into the pandemic are you like, okay, I think I need to shift my gears again?
Oh my God. I left August of last year. So however far into the pandemic, I don't know. Like I was gonna say, like I don't like no timing of the pandemic. Like I feel like we lost
like 5 months. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like a year. No, that wasn't a year at that point. Yeah, you're right, Bridge. It was like 5 months.
Timing doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah, what is time?
COVID is involved.
Right.
What is
So-
time?
So
Ugh.
But still
Yeah,
good. Like
so where
you
did you
finished out your
go?
year, and then where'd you go?
Yeah.
So this was after, I assume, like after the school year. School year's over.
Yeah,
you
this
just
was
don't
that was
go
in the
back
middle of
for
the
another
summer.
year?
Yeah. So I've always been into beer. I love craft breweries. It's always been a thing I was like super into. And I saw this posting on LinkedIn, and it was for customer service representative at Collective Arts Brewery. And I'm like, I'm going to apply for the fun of it. To be completely honest, like I didn't want to, like I worked retail for like freaking over 10 years. And I was really good at it. Like I still, at Christmas time, like I miss being able to like help somebody find like their perfect Christmas gift for their like family member, or like, you know, like I had women being like, I like shopping like you was like shopping with my best friend. Like I miss that. Like I miss dressing up human beings like a Barbie doll. Like I miss that a lot. But I was totally down with like in that sense the customer service world, and I feel like that was kind of like comparative in a sense. I literally applied because I was like, this sounds like a cool job, and I love what they do with artists. I love their values and what their mission is. And so I applied. There was like 700 applicants on LinkedIn, because you can see how many people like actually apply, right, on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do something different. And if it works in my favor, that's cool. If it doesn't, like, it is what it is. So I messaged the CEO of the company on LinkedIn, and I messaged one of the HR people. And I just said like, hey, I applied for this job, introduced myself, basically just like did a quick like synopsis of like why I would be good for this position. And I heard back. And the guy in HR messaged me and said, like, send me your resume personally to this email. And I did. And then, like, I don't know if it was the next day or a couple days later or whatever, he was like, all right, so, like, you have to answer these, like, 7 questions. And they were traditional, like, you know, like, why do you think you're good for Collective? And, like, you know, like, what did you get paid in your prior job? Like, just the simple, like, questions that most people, like, ask in a normal face-to-face interview. I answered those. And then, like, a couple days later, there were some more, like, strategic questions in terms of, like scenarios. So, like, this person emails us because their beer order was wrong. Like, what do you do? Like, just, like, random customers, like, things. And they were all, like, emails or like messages that like were real that we received. And it was so hard because I had to like, I didn't know what their protocol was. And I was like, okay, I don't want to like just give merch away for free because I don't want to like lose a bunch of money, but like also like these customers are important to us. So, like, what do I do? So I kind of like, I don't know, I just answer these questions
Yeah.
to the best of my ability without knowing any background.
Because it's also like, is this like something they've done in the past, or is that like a COVID thing where they're like, let's just throw these questions out ahead of time before doing the Zoom call?
So
like, what's their strategy?
They actually didn't have a customer service department. So they had people in like retail and like events and stuff like taking these inquiries and answering these emails and doing these things, but they didn't actually have like a department. So they were trying to create this department because we were growing so quickly. And with the pandemic, like we had to switch and start to do like home deliveries, which was never a thing before. But all of our restaurants and bars, accounts, they weren't open. So like we needed to pivot and we needed to make money.
Right.
So customer service was very important. Then I got a phone interview with who is now like my manager and the HR person. And it wasn't too crazy. They asked me some really like personal, nice, like good questions just to kind of get to know me more versus like grilling me. And I got offered the job like the next day.
Wow.
And so I don't think they interviewed many other people. Like it kind of all just happened. And it's a small business. It's a small company. And I think it was like my second day, the CEO of the company schedules calls with all the new employees, which like I think is just like so freaking cool. Like that you take the time of your day to like welcome your new employees. And like he asked me questions about myself and where I had been. And like I don't know, I've never, even though we were less than
getting to know you,
right? We were less than 200 employees at this point, and like I just thought that was so awesome.
Well, and because you're such like a beer enthusiast, there must be this part of like, I can't believe I get to go on the inside of this and see these people and how they operate and be a part of like the passion that is making these drinks. Working at Palmies, I had that same experience where like I walk in and I'm like, man, like it's so weird how emotionally you get attached to like how this came to be. And I want to get to the part about you being the liaison for the artist because like you get to be a part of the conversations before this gets made. And for the listeners, I'm pointing at the can. But you have, Bridget's getting up to deal with her cat. That happens every episode. But yeah, so like you get on the inside of this and is it just like almost like a starstruck? Like you can't believe you're doing something like this?
Yeah, it was pretty nuts. Like it was definitely like, cool to talk to like the man who basically started it all and like has this like dream and passion. And what is like really cool was he actually received my email or my message, on LinkedIn. And he messaged our HR person and was like, hey, this girl's great. So I never actually had to submit like references. And he's like, hey, I'm really sorry that I didn't answer your message on LinkedIn. And I was like, oh my God, you saw that? Like, ooh.
You remember?
You know,
and he's like, I was your reference. He's like, I looked at your LinkedIn profile and I liked it. And I was like, how freaking cool is that? That like,
that's amazing.
That's so cool.
He liked what he saw and he kind of went off a whim and whatever. And I ended up getting hired, which was nuts. And I ended up leading the department. They had like, I got the lead customer service role and I had somebody who like worked with me. I wouldn't say under me because we basically did the exact same job, but like I was the lead and we worked together as a team. And it was cool because I feel like as a customer service rep, like I got the questions from all the outside people and like I got to really know the company quickly and I had to know it quickly and I had to know who to reach out to ask all these questions. And so I made connections and I knew a lot about Collective sitting from my home. Like, you know what I mean? Like answering emails from some random people because I had to know all the answers.
Yeah.
So it was really
and
really
I saw
cool
on your
to get
Instagram when you like were getting in there and learning, you also learned lots about the beer.
Oh yeah. We did taste testing and all the things, and that was definitely a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah, I remember
I bet you guys have the best staff socials.
I haven't had one.
I guess
really.
You can't because
I was gonna
COVID,
say like
never mind.
I haven't done a staff like all staff thing yet because we haven't been able to. Yeah. Hopefully we have a Christmas party. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So has there been any crazy adjustments within the company since, I mean, you came in there like once the pandemic had already started. But the world is opening up again, and the way beer is sold has changed because of the pandemic. You say that the company's pivoted because of that. What is different now, a year later, after you've been in this role for 12 months?
I think we used a lot of this time for like a lot of experimental things. Like I feel like we released a lot of product. Like I feel like when I started, we had like our beers and we had like gin. And then now we've gone, like I think we had maybe like one or two gin cocktails as well. But now we've done like lemonade and like beer mimosas and bitters, and we have sparkling water now, and like we've tried so many different things. Like we have so many products, it's nuts. Like there's something for everybody, and we just keep on releasing new things and working with different kinds of like liquor and seltzer and all the things. I can't reveal too much. I know all the things. There's more stuff coming.
Oh my god. Which
Will
is
it be in our care package?
Pardon me?
Will it be in our care package?
Oh, maybe. We have
testers.
teas. So we have like hard teas
Really?
but they're not like a twisted tea that's like really like sweet and you can only have one because it's just crazy. But like they are like brewed like loose leaf like brewed teas, but they have alcohol in them. And they're dangerous. They are they're extremely dangerous because you can't taste the alcohol at all.
But it's in there.
So maybe I'll have to get you guys some of those.
Sounds healthy.
Wait,
right?
that's crazy. Wait. So is it already pre-canned?
Yeah. So they're basically like canned cocktails kind of thing.
Oh, gotcha.
But
okay.
yeah, it's tea.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Because like knowing how hard it is to get SKUs on the shelves at the LCBO, like your team that's putting these flavors together and getting cans on shelves, and like you guys are always fully stacked everywhere I go. The brand is incredible. You guys are online like crazy. It's just so impressive.
Our sales team would love that. Just echo that from the rooftop.
Yeah, Collective Arts sales team, love ya. And my years, like
Marketing.
my time working at Pommies, I look to Collective Arts often to be like, what are other brands doing? Like even just photography and video work for social media can be so tricky. Like I would say to Bridget, like how many times can I take a picture of this can? Like it's so hard after a while, and Collective Arts always has badass awesome marketing, and I just love it. Like it's so brilliant.
Yeah, no, I'm very lucky to work with such an innovative company. Like it's so, the reason obviously I like beer, I'm passionate about beer, I enjoy beer, but like we're so much more. Like so after being in the customer service role for 3 months and 2 weeks, I was I don't know if it's promoted, but I was put into a new role. And so I am now a marketing coordinator and artist liaison for Collective. And I am part of the marketing team. But like I see things like kind of like at the very start and at the very finish, like the magic that our team works like in the middle to create these campaigns and stuff. To be honest, I'm not really part of them because I am the one like reaching out to the artist. So when we decide that, like this artist, Maya Fadul is on this glass, like I reach out to her and I say, we want your artwork on this glass, and I set it up, and then marketing like takes this and like makes the glass, produces it, and then puts it into a marketing campaign and whatever. And
how are the artists like really touched?
They're phenomenal
when you reach out to them. Like, yeah,
like
what is it like?
It is so cool to be able to like watch somebody's dream come true, like in a sense. Like it really it's so amazing. So kind of just to give you like a little bit of background of what happens is we have open call for arts. So they're open 4 months at a time, and artists could submit to that call for art. And then every 4 months, I gather like a jury of people in the music and arts and beer worlds, usually about 6 members. And basically, they go on to the back end of our website and they vote for their favorite pieces of art. And it's literally like Tinder for artwork. So it's like a
That's
check
so
mark
cool.
or an X, basically, swipe right, swipe left. And that's how we put together our series. So it's not Collective that's choosing these pieces. It's very like the artists don't, like, you don't see the artist's name or anything. So it's super inclusive. Literally the jury is just voting based off artwork. That's it. That's all.
Cool.
So then once those labels have been templated and, like, I don't know, for example, like I like Life in the Clouds, and Life in the Clouds, when I'm looking for Life in the Clouds, I'm holding up a can, by the way. Life in the Clouds has a blue strip on it. Our Jam Up the Mash, which is another one of our core beers, has a red strip on it. Our Hazy State has a green strip on it. Radio the Mothership has like a shiny red one. So you kind of, if you like a beer, because all of our cans are always going to look different because we always have pieces of art on them. So if you know what beer you like, you kind of look for the color. And we match the artwork with the color. And our graphic design team does that. And so, like, I get to reach out to the artists and let them know, like, hey, your art's been chosen and this is what we need from you, and kind of build and cultivate that, like, amazing relationship. And there's usually more that comes with it. Like, we'll have one of our sales team who's working with one of their restaurant accounts who wants to do a mural on one of their walls. And so I get to look at the artists in that location and be like, hey, we want you to create a mural for this restaurant, and, like, we pay for it. Like, we always pay our artists. Every single artist that's on our can gets paid. And they keep ownership of their own, like, they keep the rights to their own artwork. We're just paying for the rights to use it. So
that's great.
If people like what's on the can, like, they can go and contact the artist and, like, maybe get a print or a bag or, like, something, so they can use if people like the piece, they can hopefully make more money from us just kind of, like, putting it out in the world.
How collective of you.
I was literally about to say, very collective. It's a collection of arts. Would you
What a
look at
collection of art.
And we just started doing on-demand prints, which is really cool. So, like, if you like the print that's on your can, if the artist agrees to it, on our website, you can literally buy the print. And we pay our artists, like, we do 50-50 of the profit. So we take in half to help us with our cost of operation, obviously, and the other half goes to the artist. And if you look at, like, Society 6 and all these other companies that are doing this, like, they are paying the artists a fraction of what we are paying them. So we're really in it for the artists. If it wasn't for the artists submitting their work and working with us, like, we would not be a company. We would not be a brand, because we rely heavily on our artists, and our budgets yearly, literally most of that budget goes to paying the artists. It doesn't.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
It is.
I'm convinced. I'm switching over.
It's great.
It's
It's honestly so
about what you
delicious.
do.
I might just be saying that because this is 8.5, but this is
She's
delicious. For the listener, I haven't drank. I've been very mindfully drinking it.
How do you guys come up with the names for the beers?
So we actually, it's funny, we just got an email, like, last week, I guess, but basically our, like, innovation team is like, hey, we're putting together a new core beer. This is what it's going to be. We want names. And so we have, like, a spreadsheet of, like any of our employees can go in and, like, suggest some names for these things. And all of our Toronto beers. So we just opened, not just, but I guess it'll be 1 year on Thursday. We opened our second brewery in Toronto. So our flagship breweries in Hamilton. We opened a second brewery in Toronto. We just opened a taproom in Costa Rica. We just keep on growing. It's nuts. But, like, our Toronto beers are small batch beers, and we pump out, like, a ton of beers a month from this small batch brewery, and they're all bottles, which is awesome. So we're always looking for new names for our beers because there's so many that are coming out. So yeah, we basically rely on our staff.
That's so cool.
But
A collective.
That's awesome.
A collective. But when I was trying out my beers when I first started, Aaron, who was our GM for our Hamilton location, he kind of told me, like, a little bit of history. Like, so Ransack the Universe was a I think it was like a vintage clothing store, and I can't remember. It might have been in Toronto, I don't know, somewhere. And our CEO or CCO loved it and like pulled over and said like, we want to name a beer after you guys, and like brought them in and apparently did like the photo shoot of the new beer like inside of their vintage clothing store and whatever. So like inspiration pops up everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
They're so creative.
And
Right?
it's amazing to work with someone versus like, oh, I can't do that because they own that, right? And like, there's no, why would we connect like a vintage clothing store with beer? But it can work, and it's amazing to just be like, hey, you have a really cool name. Can we borrow it for a beer?
Right? And the
And then
fact that
we'll,
they like incorporated them in the whole like rollout of it. And I just thought that was like so cool, because you're giving like another voice, another company, another person like the chance to be like featured and in the forefront and spotlighted. And it's really cool.
Yeah. That's
I
phenomenal. Your
love
passion
this.
for this is insane.
My like cheeks hurt
Yeah, it
because
is.
I
You
love
can
it so
tell.
much.
But it's
Yeah.
like you're like, if anyone listening to this, like think back to the beginning of your story to now, you are in the entertainment industry. You have been the person on camera being through the grind of what it is to be a persona. Then you do a job that you love that makes no money. And that's like the life of an artist. And then you go and work somewhere where you are promoting and buying, bands to come into schools and all that. So like you work on all these aspects of an industry, and all of a sudden you go work at a beer company where you might think, why would that relate? But your passion for why you work there and their love for working for artists and respecting artists and promoting artists and like helping other artists succeed, it's like this weird bow tied at the top of your like career. Where you go next, girl, I don't know, but it's gonna be great. But like, so cool. It's so cool. And like seeing your passion for this, I'm like, of course you're so passionate. Like the reason, all the things that makes Collective Arts amazing are things that made you leave other jobs.
Totally. And I always said like I don't have like a talent per se in terms of like a visual audio talent. Like my talent's people. I love to work with people. But I think the reason why
it's not true. I've seen you dance, and you can dance.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
These hips don't lie.
Shakira.
No,
That's
I
great.
just feel like the moment you compliment me, I'm like, oh, my cheeks are rosy, and I can't. But no, I respect people in the arts and music industry so much, because I can't do it myself. And I think that's the reason why I just like, I respect, like, because I want to, like, I would love to be able to like freaking paint something or to be able to play an instrument. And I've tried, I can't. But I think that is the reason I'm doing what I am doing today, is because like, I just respect the industry so freaking much. That it just makes me so passionate. I think it's freaking cool that people can do what they do. Like, people are amazing. Like the things that people can do is like, there's no limits. Like it's incredible. And I'm just here to help like promote you and facilitate the platform to be able to do that.
I love that. So, I mean, I think I already have an idea of what you're going to say for this next question. But if you had any advice to give to your 20-year-old self, or to people who are 20 now, you've been through a lot. You've gone through a lot of jobs. You've gone through a lot of different passions. What would you tell them?
Don't do something that you don't love. Like, even though it might be rough and times are tough sometimes financially, and just like dream big and do what you are passionate about. Like, regardless of all the obstacles that come in your way, just keep on trucking, and you'll be doing something that you love all the time, and it's like you'll never work a day in your life.
Ugh, I love that. I love that. Mary's frozen. Oh, Mary was frozen with the biggest smile on her face. She's like,
So happy. Again, might be that 8.5, but it's also just talking to friends.
well, thanks so much for coming on to chat with us, Kelsey. It's been great hearing about your story. There's
Thanks for having
so
me.
much to you. Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
I'm like an ogre, I have layers. How's that? The Shrek?
Onion?
I'm like an onion. Ogres are like onions. They have layers or something like
the
that.
layers.
Love a good Shrek reference.
You smell? No.
And in the morning, I'm making waffles.
Yeah. So many Shrek references these days.
Oh, I love it. Love
That's
it. Gotta watch
amazing.
Shrek.
Well, this has been another episode of the Talking 20 podcast. Make sure to follow, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on your favorite streaming platform to help us grow. And make sure to follow along with our shenanigans on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Talking 20 Podcast. And of course, make sure to follow Kelsey on Instagram at who_else_but_Kels. See you next week.